making hijrah in today's day and age. Hijrah is of two types. The first type of hijrah is the hijrah of sins. Right? The hijrah of sins. You now migrating away from your sins. Is that clear? The second type of hijrah that he is referring to is, and by the way, Ibn al-Qayyim, he has a kitab called Tariq al-Hijratain. Or Tariq ila Hijratain. Right? This was a letter that he sent to his brother. And our Shaykh Salih Sindi, and also Shaykh Abdul Razak al-Badr, they both taught it to us in the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's masjid. Ala kulli hal, the hijrah that he's talking about is migrating from the lands of the kuffar to the lands of the Muslims. Is it something that is mandatory in today's day and age? One thing that we can all agree to is that it is something that is highly recommended. I personally don't want to bring up Taymiyyah in this environment. Wallahi, don't. Whether it is mandatory or not, that's a big statement. How many millions of Muslims do we have in Europe? Does anyone have an idea? You have an idea? How many millions of Muslims? I don't personally necessarily know the stats of that. Ala kulli hal, we know just in the UK how many millions there are, right? In Europe, أضعاف مضاعفة. It's multiplied. If I now say that it is wajib, I'm giving a fatwa that concerns all of these Muslims. Is that for me to say? I'll tell you guys something else. When I went to Yemen in Damaj, right? A lot of Muslims, they're extremely passionate about making hijrah to Yemen. In Damaj, it was a village. Muslims were migrating from all around the world. Some with the intention of seeking knowledge, some with the intention, I'm never going back to the lands of the kuffar, never. And when you make the intention of hijrah, what that entails is that you can't go back. And if you do go back, you can only stay there for 3 days. That's what hijrah is. Are you guys with me? That's what hijrah is. So there was a time when I was there, a lot of people were making hijrah. Even some of the fatawa that I was hearing was hijrah wajibah. It is mandatory. You must leave the lands of the kuffar and come to the lands of the Muslims. Even if you look at the explanation of Usul al-Thalatha of Ibn Uthaymeen, look what he says about hijrah. There were some strong statements about hijrah. Even the Shaykh there was given a fatwa. Some time went by, and then all of a sudden I hear the Shaykh saying, this is back then, before the Arab Revolution. Before the Arab Revolution. You guys with me? Before the whole lands of the Muslims now went into turmoil. Wallahi, once upon a time, Yemen, right, was a beautiful place to live. Wallahi. Wherever you went, whether it's Hadramaut, whether it is up north, there was peace and security. And sometimes, brothers and sisters, we really take peace and security very lightly. The fact that you can wake up, right, in the morning, and you don't have that fear that your home is going to be broken into, or that you're going to be shot the moment you walk outside. I know maybe in London, that's why I want to move to London. But anywhere outside of London, it's not like that. And even being shot, it's not for everyone. Like, not everyone is part of that crowd. Do you guys agree with that? Most of us were able to, right, leave our homes, come to the lecture, not even thinking about being shot. Did anybody wake up today thinking he's going to get shot today? Let's be honest. Most of us, right? In Yemen, there was security. There was peace, right? And I was there before and after the Thawrat, the revolution. No one can tell me that there is khair in these revolutions that took place. You can say whatever you want about Abdullah Saleh, the ruler at the time. I'm not even going to defend him. People sometimes think that we have to defend the ruler. This is not manhaj al-Salaf. The methodology of the Salaf is not to defend the ruler upon his filth and evil and his corruption. Allah tells you, وَلَا تُجَادِلْ عَنِ الَّذِينَ يَخْتَانُونَ أَنفُسَهُمْ. Don't defend them in their oppression and them wronging themselves. It's one thing saying, don't revolt, and it's another defending them upon their mistakes. Let's not conflate the two. Are you guys with me? If a particular ruler now is opening up a Buddhist temple, right, and then calling it the Abraham, whatever, what do they call it? Al-Bayt al-Ibrahim, whatever, right? If he has good things with him that he does in the country, should I now defend him because he's doing this stuff? La, at all. Or in any other country it might be. We do not conflate the two. It's one thing saying don't revolt, and it's another defending his mistakes, brothers and sisters. Let's not conflate the two. And this is not manhaj al-Salafi. They want to criticize us saying that we are what, bootlickers or whatever. La. Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi, he says, brothers and sisters, right? And I really advise we memorize this. He says, وَلَعَلَّهُ لا يكاد يعرف طائفة خرجت على ذي سلطان إلا وكان في خروجها من الفساد أعظم من الفساد الذي أزالته. He says, you will barely find a people who revolted against their ruler, wanting to remove the evil that he was upon, except that it led to that which was far worse. Now you can be what? Judge, jury here. That which happened in the Arab world, brothers and sisters, was there really any good in them revolting? I'm mentioning all of this for a reason, which will come in extremely handy. I was there before and after the revolutions. Wallahi, after I came back, I was in shock with the way the whole place turned out to be. You ask any Yemeni now, do you prefer it how it was before or how it is now? They will say to you how it was before. There's no peace and security. مع الأسف الشديد. It's turmoil. Everything has become so expensive. طيب. Going back to what I was mentioning earlier, the Shaykh, the fatwa started changing. Shaykh started saying, come to Damaj or Yemen for the intention of seeking knowledge. And then inshallah ta'ala, if things work out for you, then make the intention of Hijrah, that you're never going to go back. طيب. That same Shaykh, after Damaj was destroyed, right? After Damaj was destroyed, all the students were what? They all were what? Shattered around the country, around the world. They all had to go back. The Shaykh himself had to leave Yemen. He was exiled from his own country, and that's why he was then living in Mecca. Some of our brothers, right? Some of our brothers, I believe it was Ustadh Yassin, Ustadh Abdul Rahman, right? Ustadh Imran. They all went to visit him and they asked him whether one should make hijrah. You know what he said? أرى أن الهجرة في هذه الآونة فيه نظر. Which basically means doing hijrah in today's day and age, right? How would you translate that in English? يعني I don't see it like how it was before. I can't actually say that it's mandatory. Are you guys with me? Can you see how the fatwa changed over time? Question I want to ask you guys, right? If someone now says it is wajib to make hijrah, what are the options that we have? I took my family to Egypt because this is what everybody sees as the ideal place to go and make hijrah to, right? Egypt is like the easiest place to go. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, it made me hate that place that I now don't even want to go through Egypt by transit. With how they dealt with me at the airport, at the hospital. My wife's about to give birth, right? She's about to give birth. I went to ask for an extension on my visa. They stamped on there, you have what, 7 days to get out. That I have 7 days to get out of the country. And if they catch you there without proper paperwork, you know what they're going to do to you? They'll do a job on you, brothers. They'll do a job. I don't want to get all too graphic. They'll do some crazy stuff to you inside of the prison cell. That which you can't even imagine. You can even call it sexual abuse. The plan was to leave my family there all the way up until I graduate. We had no option except to get out. I was being advised by Egyptians, Muhammad, you've just had an operation. If these guys catch you outside without paperwork, they will what? Do a job on you. They don't care whether you had an operation yesterday or not. I was on the fringes, brothers. I had 30 stitches across my stomach. And I'm on the threat now. Egyptians telling me to leave. Ala kulli hal. If this is now the situation, right? And they're treating people with beards like that because they won't treat you nicely if you have a beard. Imagine that. You have a beard, they're not going to treat you nicely. And by the way, I'm not trying to put you guys off going to Egypt to seek knowledge. I'm just stating facts here. Just the other day, I had a podcast with Sheikh Abdul Wahid, and I mentioned in there, if you want Quran or Arabic, don't go to Yemen, don't even go to Saudi. Go to what? Go to Egypt. That's the best place for it. You can go to these other places, but the best place for it, I believe, is Egypt. I memorized Quran in Yemen, and I'm telling you that. I'm not biased. They're treating people of religion like that, then Tayyib, you go to some of these other countries, you think it's just easy for you to walk into Saudi Arabia and stay there? There are other Muslim countries, but it's not as straightforward as we may think. Having said all of that, I'm still, inshallah ta'ala, the plan is to move my family out. We're going to try and sort something out, inshallah ta'ala. But for me to say that it's wajib, I think that is very, very big. That's a fatwa that you are giving, right, to all of these millions of Muslims across Europe. And I genuinely believe if Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu was alive, right, he would have what? Gathered the participants of Badr and he would have taken the input. You guys agree with that? Something as big as this? Because if I say mandatory now, it's wajib, that means all of these Muslims have to leave. And if they don't leave, they are being sinful. We're not talking about the people who have an excuse. The people who don't have an excuse, we are saying that they are sinful. And there might be other determining factors. Are you brothers and sisters with me? There was another important point that I wanted to make. Tayyib, a revert. Hiya. Where does the revert go? Where does the revert make hijrah to? These are all issues that need to be taken into consideration. It's not just as simple as one just giving a fatwa, right? Of course, it is the ideal dream, right? I don't think anyone here wants to bring up their kids around these rainbows. Sah wala la? Does anyone here wants to bring up their kids around these rainbows? Where they begin to question their sexual orientation. Something you've got to think about, brothers and sisters. They're giving da'wah to our kids in the schools. They really are. So this is a huge fatwa. You just go off with, inshallah ta'ala, working towards, maybe I'm going to try and find an alternative. Maybe you can move to Somalia. Allahu a'lam what will happen in Somalia. Anyways, the point I wanted to make earlier was these revolutions, what did they do to all these Muslim countries? It destroyed it. If I want to go to Yemen now, I don't personally feel comfortable going there. Right? With how vocal we are about the Rafidah who are in control of all these airports, they might just do a quick Google search and my face pops up. Sahih? And then that interview comes up of what happened in Damaj. That's the reality, brothers and sisters. I don't know what's going to happen to Somalia tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen to Kenya, Morocco. These are some alternatives. But it's not as straightforward. Sorting out your paperwork. If I go to some countries today, they might just think that they're going there to blow something up. You're going to be scrutinized because I have a beard. مع الأسف الشديد. Huh?